you don't feel the same. It feels like I've lost you, floating into space. All the things we've been through are fading into blue. I would drive to Neptune just to love you more. Spacious wonder dance. Oh yeah. All the things we've been through are fading into blue. I would drive to Neptune just to love